Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Thank you. I have. I'm good. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Nitya Gora Haribo. Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's say this all together. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum militan yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. So welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're going to be reading from Canto 10, Chapter 13, text 4 to 11. And the verse we're going to focus on is going to actually be text 8. But we'll read a little bit and say a few words as we go, and then we'll come back to text 8. So, Yay, Vaishnavas on it. So please read the first couple of verses, 4 and 5. Is it coming? Not coming. Should I go ahead and read? Okay. So text 4. Then, after saving the boys and calves from the mouth of Aghasura, who was death personified, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, brought them all to the bank of the river and spoke the following words. My dear friends, just see how this riverbank is extremely beautiful because of its pleasing atmosphere. And just see how the blooming lotuses are attracting bees and birds by their aroma. The humming and chirping of the bees and birds is echoing throughout the beautiful trees in the forest. Also here the sands are clean and soft. Therefore this must be considered the best place for our sporting and pastimes. So recently we were hearing about how Krishna killed Aghasura. And then after that, Parikshit Maharaj was very amazed, and he was urging Shukadeva, speak more, speak more. And yesterday we heard about how Shukadeva Goswami was almost losing consciousness due to ecstasy in reciting these pastimes because of the depth of his realization. And how he was thinking, I don't know if I can speak further. These pastimes are so intimate and so confidential. And yet he says, it's the duty of the spiritual master to give confidential knowledge to the submissive disciple. So then he agrees to speak more. And he says these things are confidential not because they're necessarily private, but because they're very difficult to understand. And we're going to see that even the demigods become bewildered seeing these pastimes. Right? People get bewildered hearing about these pastimes because what we're seeing is that Krishna's acting just like an ordinary little boy. And so people who are very much their conception of God is that God is great. He is the controller. He's the creator. He's the all-powerful. He's the punisher. And then you hear, if you have that conception and then you hear these pastimes, it's just like cognitive dissonance, It's like, wait, what? the Lord, the all-powerful, supreme controller, creator of everything is doing that? Are you sure? So even the demigods, and we see that Brahma is very puzzled by this. He's like, is that really the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I need to test and see if this is really Krishna, the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, not just some little boy who's maybe looks a lot like Krishna or something. So that happens. So what we're seeing here is that, we also heard about why the demons come. So the reason that Aghasura appears is that Krishna and his friends get so absorbed in playing that they don't want to stop playing. And so the demons have to come, and that kind of breaks up the play. It makes them stop their games. And then they realize that, oh, actually, it's time for lunch. So it's all just a arrangement of Krishna's Leela Shakti, his transcendental pastime potency, in order to get Krishna and his friends to stop one enjoyable pastime and go into another one, which is their picnic in the forest pastime. So that's what we're going to hear about today. So here, there's a little purport to this verse, text 5. Prabhupada says, the description of Vrindavan forest as given herewith was spoken by Krishna 5,000 years ago. And the same condition prevailed during the time of the Vaishnava Acharyas 300 or 400 years ago. Kujat kokila hamsa sarasagana kirne mayura kule. That's from the Sat Goswami Astakam. Vrindavan forest is always filled with the chirping and cooing of birds like cuckoos, kokila, ducks, hamsa, and cranes, sarasa. And it is also full of peacocks, mayura kule. The same sounds and atmosphere still prevail in the area where our Krishna Balaram temple is situated. Everyone who visits this temple is pleased to hear the chirping of the birds as described here, Kujat kokila hamsa sarasa. So I was reading this and I was thinking that a lot has changed in the area around Krishna Balaram temple since Prabhupada wrote this in 1977. So I think most of the peacocks, swans, and cranes have disappeared into the uppercut Leela. They're no longer manifest. Even the soft sand that was there is mainly covered by asphalt or concrete. And so Vrindavan has changed a lot. And that poses a lot of challenges to our appreciation, our experience of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Right? So when we go to Vrindavan, we hear all about Vrindavan from scriptures and Krishna's pastimes, and think, oh, going there, and then we get there and there's just all these roads, highways and cars. Now instead of hearing the crowing of the peacocks, you hear the blowing of the horns, or you hear the noise of construction. So much construction going on in that area. So now more than ever, it's very important for us to hear these descriptions from the scriptures and to try to see not with these material eyes, but when we go to the Dham, try to see through the eyes of Shastra. And Srimad Bhagavatam recommends that. There's a very nice verse from Bhagavatam 3:9-11. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrit saroja ase shutekshi tapato nanunata pumsam yad yad dhyata urugaya bhivavayanti tad tad vapu pranayase sadanugrahaya. So it says, O Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing. So he's recommending that we have to see not with the eyes, but we have to see through the ears. So when we hear these descriptions, then we should visualize, right? When we should try to really stop and, it's like when you're reading a book, if you're reading a novel, it's like you kind of see in your mind's eye all the things that are being described if the author has put enough descriptions in there. So Shukadeva Goswami, he puts a lot of descriptions in there so that we can see these things. We get a mental image while we're reading of what this pastime is looking like. What is the environment? What are the sounds? And so we're seeing through our ears as we hear it. Right? Reading is also hearing, as we read or as we hear. And then when we go there, so that makes a meditation, that forms a meditation. And then he says that the second part of this verse is yad yad dhya ta udugaya vibhavayanti. Whatever you think about, whatever it is that you meditate on with your mind, tat tat vapu pranayase sad anugrahaya. Krishna, by his mercy, he will manifest that very same form to you. So when we meditate on these descriptions of Vrindavan, and then we go to Vrindavan, then our material eyes are still going to see, whatever is there, but in our mind's eye, our heart is going to experience something else. By Krishna's mercy, he's going to give us an experience of Vrindavan that at least somewhat resonates with what we've heard from Scripture, with what we've visualized from hearing and meditating on these descriptions. So that's the magic. That's the way to access the real Vrindavan when we go to Vrindavan, even nowadays when we don't hear the kujat koki lahamsa sarasagana, when we just hear the engines and construction and the horns honking and people yelling and so forth. And also, of course, association is very important. When we go to the Dham with an advanced devotee who actually sees the Dham, then by their mercy, we can get a little bit of a glimpse. We can see it a little bit through their eyes as they reveal it to us. So now Krishna's trying to convince the cowherd boys to sit down and have lunch. And so there's a lot of cowherd boys there. There's like hundreds, maybe thousands of cowherd boys, and they need a big place. So he's pointing out the different features of this particular place by the bank of the Yamuna. He's saying, oh, the riverbank is here. It's very wide. There's plenty of space for everyone to sit. And then he's saying that it's also very clean and comfortable. The sand is clean. It's soft. It'll be nice. You just sit in this nice, soft sand. And then on a hot day, you want a place with some air conditioning. So he's saying that there are shady trees here to make it cool, to shade us from the midday sun. And then when you eat, you want some nice background music. So he's saying, yes, the chirping of the birds is here, the buzzing of the bees, beautiful background ambiance from these sounds. And then when you want to sit down to eat, it's nice to have like a little vase of fresh flowers on the table, right? So he's saying that the fragrant lotuses of the Yamuna are blooming, and we're going to sit on the bank of the Yamuna. It's going to be a beautiful centerpiece full of flowers here for us to enjoy. And then to eat, you need utensils. So we're going to see when we get to text 9 how they're from the environment, they're going to find so many plates and cups and bowls and things. And And also you need a place to wash your hands before and wash your hands afterwards. So they're by the bank of the Yamuna. There's a lot of water for washing their hands, washing their mouths, drinking. So Krishna's basically convincing them this is the perfect picnic spot. And also, he also adds that it says Swakeli Sampat, that it's also a nice place to play. So we can eat and we can have a good time eating, and afterwards we can play. So let's all sit down here and settle down. Okay, let's go to text 6. Did you get it working? Okay, go ahead, Nanjashna, please.
I think we should take our lunch here since we are already hungry because the time is very late. Here the cows may drink water and go slowly here and there and eat the grass.
Yeah, so also because they're cowherd boys, they're not concerned only about their own arrangements for eating, but they need to make sure that the calves have something to eat too. So he says, Vatsa samipe apapitva, that there's plenty of water for the calves to drink because Yamuna is flowing right there. And also charantu sanakai trinam. Trinam means grass. There's plenty of grass, so they can wander around and eat grass in this area. So we have our lunch, perfect place for us. The calves have their lunch, perfect place for them. Let's sit. Okay, text 7.
Accepting Lord Krishna's proposal, the cowherd boys allowed the calves to drink water from the river and then tied them to trees where there was green tender grass. Then the boys opened their baskets of food and began eating with Krishna in great transcendental pleasure.
So it says, Tata iti, means, Prabhupada writes in the translation, as Krishna proposed, the other cowherd boys agreed. So that's typical, right? Krishna has good ideas. And whenever he suggests something, then the cowherd boys are like, sounds good to us. And then a couple interesting things here in this verse. The Sanskrit words that they use for opening the lunch bags is muktva shikyani. So muktva is like mukti, means liberated. They liberated their lunches. So they used to, so the mothers would pack the lunches in like a bag, like a cloth bag, and they would tie it. And so the food is in there, and then they liberated the lunches. So this is real liberation, because the lunch before, it was locked up in this bag, it couldn't do anything, and now it's going to serve Krishna. So real liberation means now I'm free to serve Krishna. So we're going to see how the lunch that was in the bag, the different food items that the mothers had carefully and lovingly packed, is going to give a lot of pleasure to Krishna through its service. And it says here that they allowed the calves to drink water and then tied them to trees where there was green tender grass. So they didn't actually tie them up, but they just put them in a place. They herded them into a little area where the grass was very soft, and they were thinking that this grass here is so sweet, so juicy, so soft, they're not going to want to go anywhere else. But they did. We're going to see that they did wander off later. So, yeah. Okay, let's go ahead to text 8, please.
Like the world, the lotus flower is surrounded by the petals of leaves. Krishna sat in the center of circle by lines of his friends who looked beautiful. Every one of us trying to look forward toward Krishna, think of that Krishna might look toward him. In this way, he enjoyed the lunch in the forest.
Jai. So we'll get back to this verse, so I won't say much about it now. I would go to text 9, please.
Among the cowherd boys, some placed their lunch on flowers, some on leaves, fruits, or bunches of leaves, some actually in their baskets, some on the bark of trees, and some on rocks. This is what the children imagined to be their plates as they ate their lunch.
It's kind of like breakfast time here at the Prasadam Hall. Everybody's scavenging around to try to find some plate to eat off of. Somebody's got a little bowl, someone's got a pot lid, someone's got whatever Tupperware container, or they have a stash of paper plates somewhere. So the boys are going around, they're just going around the environment trying to find something to eat off of. And So someone gets a lotus leaf, right? Lotus leaf is big. And then someone's finding, maybe they get a lotus flower and they take off the petals and they overlap them, to make like a plate. Or someone finds a flat stone or a big piece of tree bark. So, like that. You can imagine these little boys. And Jiva Goswami says that they do this because each boy desired to manufacture remarkable things, right? So everybody has a creative potency. We have a creative desire to be creative and do something. So every day they would go and find some different kind of thing to eat off of, and it would give them some variety and kind of like some arts and crafts, right? Kids like arts and crafts, so they would go and find some things from nature and just make a plate out of it. And so you can imagine these small boys just running around looking for things to use as plates, and they'd be like, hey, look what I'm going to use for my plate today. And they hold up a big leaf, and the other one's like in the Yamuna washing the stone. Look at my nice shiny flat plate. It's got little crevices in it where I can, put the liquid things or whatever. So they all get their respective plates, and then they sit down. Even nowadays, when you go to Vraj, there are some places where you can find these rock slabs that have little like bowls, impressions of bowls in them. And there's one place near, in Lalita Devi's village near Varshana, and that place is called Chapan Katori. It's like a big slab, and it's got all these like little katori, little like bowls in it, where Radha Krishna sat and had prasadam. Okay, text 10.
All the cowherd boys enjoyed their lunch with Krishna, showing one another the different taste of the different varieties of preparations they had brought from home. Tasting one another's preparations, they began to laugh and make one another laugh.
So you can see how they're having a lot of fun here. So it says, Sarve Mita Darshayanta. It means that Darshayanta. Darshan means to show. So that when the deities are giving darshan, that means they're showing themselves. So the boys were unpacking their lunches, and then they were showing it to everyone like, look what my mother made for me. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then, so they would take a bite of something. Like one boy, he would pick up a kachori or something, samosa, and then he would take a bite, and he'd be like, this is so good. So he was showing not only what it was, but he was like showing through his expressions how tasty it was, because the idea was that they all wanted Krishna to taste what they had. They wanted Krishna to eat their food. Right? They open it up and they'd be like, oh, Krishna has to eat this. So they'd be like, Krishna, look what my mother made. It's so good. You have to try this. And then they pass it to Krishna, and Krishna would take a bite, and that would be like the perfection of their lunch, that Krishna ate something. So, yeah, swa boja ruchim pritak. Shukdev Goswami says that they each had their own lunch, and with different ruchim, different tastes. And that way they would each boy would be passing around different things that his mother had packed, so that they could all taste each other's lunch. And that way they're enjoying all different tastes. Yeah. And the mothers, they knew this was going to happen, so they would always pack extra. They wouldn't pack just enough for their son. They would pack extra, hoping that he would be able to share it with Krishna and the other boys. And then when the sons got home, the mothers would be like, did Krishna get to taste that special kachori that I made? How did he like it? Did he smile? Did he say it was good? And then it also says here that hasanto hasayantascha. So hasa means laugh. So they would laugh. Hasanto means they would laugh, and hasayantascha means they would also make each other laugh. So they would laugh and they would make others laugh. So there was a lot of joking going on during this lunch. And some of the things that the acharyas explained that would happen is that they would take something like a samosa or kachori, they would make a little break in it, and they would put jasmine flowers in there. They would stuff it, they would take some of the filling out and stuff it full of jasmine flowers, and then they would like pretend that they were, savoring how good it was, and then they would pass it to another boy. You gotta taste this is so good. And then he'd take a big bite out of it, and he'd be chewing on the jasmine flowers, and it's really bitter, and then he would go make a bad face, and everybody would laugh. So they would do things like that. And then that boy would jump up, and he would go and like playfully, like he was going to beat the boy, but that boy would jump up and run around, and then he'd be chasing him around, and all the boys would be laughing. And these things would be going on. Or sometimes there would be like some monkeys roaming around, in Vrindavan there's so many monkeys. So one of the boys would be like, here monkeys, look, he's not paying attention, come take his chapati or take some fruit. So the monkey would come steal things, and then everybody would be shouting and laughing, and the monkey's going off with his lunch, and the boys are getting angry, yay, monkeys. And yeah, so they'd be having fun like that. Okay, let's go to text 11. This is the last one that we read today.
Krishna is Yagya book, that is, he eats only offerings of Yagya. But to exhibit his childhood pastimes, he now sat with his flute tucked between his waist and his tight cloth on his right side, and with his horn, bugle and cow driving stick on the left, holding in his hand a very nice preparation of yogurt and rice, with pieces of suitable fruit between his fingers. He sat like the whirl of a lotus flower, looking forward toward all his friends, personally joking with them and creating jubilant laughter among them as he ate. At that time, the denizens of heaven were watching, struck with wonder at how the personality of Godhead, who eats only in yagya, was now eating with his friends in the forest.
Yeah, so Krishna would be holding, so he would have food, he would have something like yogurt mixed with rice and fruits and things, and he would hold it in his left hand, so he'd be holding it like this and just eating like this. So he's got the food in his left hand and he's eating with his right hand like that. And sometimes they would be sitting, sometimes they'd be walking around, and we see that later when Krishna goes to try to find the calves, he still has that yogurt rice in his hand. He's like going to try to find the calves. He's looking here, looking there, and taking a little bite, like that. So this is something that really confuses the demigods, right? It says the demigods are looking on, and they're just thinking, what is this? The Lord is Yagyabhuk, right? He's he enjoys the offerings of sacrifice, and he's supposed to be having a first-class food that's offered properly and sacrificed with mantras and rituals and bells ringing, and and he's just like walking around. He's got like yogurt dripping through his fingers, and he's just joking and laughing and eating this like food off other people's plates that they already took a bite out of, and like contaminated food. It's like, this is so wrong. Everything should be pure. There should be achman. There should be purificatory mantras going on. If the Lord is going to eat, he's yagyabhuk. In the meantime, the boys are joking, and so Madhu Mangal, Prabhupada writes in the purport about sometimes a bee would come. So, bees, they smell something sweet, right? The fruits are there, so bees are attracted. And he says that a certain bumblebee came there to take part in the eating, and Krishna joked, "Why have you come to disturb my Brahmin friend, Madhu Mangala? You want to kill a Brahmin? This is not good." And then all the boys would laugh. Or there's a different version. The acharyas say that the bee comes, and one of the boys says, "Oh, bee, you're looking for madhu?" Madhu means honey. So bees like honey. So they say, "You're looking for honey? You're looking for madhu? He's over there, Madhu Mangal." Point to Madhu Mangal. And then Madhu Mangal's like, Madhu Mangal says, "Hey, what's wrong with you? You're going to get the sin of killing a Brahmin by sending this bee my way." And then they all start laughing. So, yeah, different things, different times. If you want Madhu, go to Madhu Mangal and you get a drink from him. So, and then one of the boys, sometimes if a boy gets upset that, they just gave him some flour to eat, or they just made the monkey steal something from his plate, then he would threaten the other boy and say, "Hey, if you're going to keep causing such disturbances just for your own amusement, then I'm going to go and bring Lord Brahma, and he's going to teach you a lesson." So Brahma and the other demigods are like, "What's going on down there?" In the meantime, the cowherd boys are like, "I'm going to get Brahma and he's going to teach you a lesson." So they're conscious of each other. And Shukadeva Goswami says here that the demigods are watching. So demigods are very fortunate, right? That they actually, from the heavenly planets, from Swargaloka, they're able to just look down and watch this. They're watching all these things going on. And that's how they end up getting confused. So let's go back to text 8. We'll say the Sanskrit. Okay. Krishnasya Vishvak Pururaji Mandalar Abhyanana Pula Drisho Vrajarbhaka Sahopavishta Vipine Virejush Chadayatam Boruha Karnikayaha. Please chat. Krishnasya Vishvak Pururaji Mandalar Abhyana Pula Trish Barbaka. Sorry. Sahopavishta Vipine Videjush Chadayatam Boruha Karnikaya. Krishnasya Vishvak Pururaji Mandalar Abhyana Pula Vishovrajarbhaka Sahopavishta Vipine Videjush Yatamboruha Karnikayaha. Krishnasya Vishvak Pururaji Mandalar Abhyanana Pula Drishovrajarbhaka Sahopavishta Vipine Videjush Chadayatam Boruha Karnikaya. Let's do the word for word. We can do this all together. Krishnasya Vishvak, surrounding Krishna. Puru Raji Mandalai, by different encirclements of associates. Abhyananana, everyone looking forward to the center where Krishna was sitting. Pula Drisha, their faces looking very bright because of transcendental pleasure. Vraja Arbaka, all the cowherd boys of Vraja Bhumi. Saha Upavishta, sitting with Krishna. Vipine, in the forest. Vire Ju, so nicely and beautifully made. Chada, petals and leaves. Yata, just as. Amboruha, of a lotus flower. Karnikayaha, of the whirl. So translation again. Like the whirl of a lotus flower surrounded by its petals and leaves, Krishna sat in the center, encircled by lines of his friends who all looked very beautiful. Every one of them was trying to look forward toward Krishna, thinking that Krishna might look toward him. In this way, they all enjoyed their lunch in the forest. So, Pururaji means many rows, and Mandalar means in a circle. So they were in many rows in a circle. So it was like a concentric circle of boys that Krishna's in the middle, And then there's like the inner circle, and then an outer circle, and then another outer circle, and so many circles all circling around Krishna, who is in the center. And it says, Phula Drisho, that all these boys are smiling, or they're beaming, right? Phula Drisho means like they're just radiant. They're literally beaming with joy, right? When someone's very happy, their face becomes bright and radiant. So they're like that. They're like beaming. Yeah. So Prabhupada's purport: to a pure devotee, Krishna is always visible. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. And as indicated by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvata Panipadam Tat Sarvato Kshiro Mukham. If by accumulating pious activities, Krita Punya Punjaha, one is raised to the platform of pure devotional service, Krishna is always visible in the core of one's heart. One who has attained such perfection is all beautiful in transcendental bliss. The present Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to keep Krishna in the center, for if this is done, all activities will automatically become beautiful and blissful. So we're seeing here that the boys are becoming radiant, right? They're beaming and smiling because they've put Krishna in the center. So the more we put Krishna in the center of our lives, the more beautiful and radiant and effulgent we are going to become as individuals, and the more beautiful and blissful our communities are going to become, right? The more we put Krishna in the center. So that's something to remember, is whenever we're doing something, just think, how can I put Krishna in the center? How can I connect this activity to Krishna, whatever we're doing? So the reason Krishna was in the center is because all these boys love Krishna so much, and they all want to see him. So they're all situating themselves in such a way that they can look at Krishna. And it says here that they're hoping, it says that every one of them was trying to look forward toward Krishna, thinking that Krishna might look toward him. So they're all looking at Krishna, hoping that Krishna's going to look at them. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that by Krishna's sarva sankalpita shakti, it was achieved. So Krishna has so many different shaktis, right? Said parasya shaktir vividaya vishruyate. So many different energies that do different functions. He has his antaranga shakti, his internal potencies, and his bahiranga shaktis, his external potencies. And even within those broad categories of shakti, there are other shaktis, right? So within his internal potencies, there's his lila shakti, which assists in his pastimes. There's his ladini shakti, pleasure-giving potency, which is Srimati Radharani. There's his swarup shakti, which reveals to the jivas their eternal transcendental forms. And then there's so many shaktis. Samvit shakti, the energy of eternality. Chit shakti, the energy of transcendental knowledge. So another of his internal energies is the sarva sankalpita shakti. So this shakti is the potency by which Krishna fulfills the desires of his devotees. This is the shakti by which Krishna makes all of his devotees' dreams come true. So sankalpa, the word sankalpa is the sarva sankalpa shakti. So a sankalpa means not just a desire, but a determination, right? Like sometimes before we're going to embark on some big effort, we'll make a sankalpa. Like for example, at the beginning of Kartik, we'll take a sankalpa or a vrat, a vow that I'm going to offer a lamp every single day, or I'm going to chant one extra round every single day of Kartik. Or like before devotees go on Navadip Mandal Parikram, they all go to the Yoga Pit, Lord Chaitanya's birthplace, and they get together and they make a sankalpa that I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, for the next 7 or 8 days, I'm just going to be on Parikram. I'm going to walk every step around Navadip Dham. I'm going to do this. Or sometimes before a festival, devotees will be like, all right, we're going to make 108 boga offerings for the pleasure of the Lord on this festival day. And so what happens is that when we make a sankalpa, when we make a determination, then that invokes Krishna's Sarva Sankalpita Shakti to enable it to happen. So that's different from whether, if you're just going into the deity kitchen on a festival day and, all right, let's see what's in the fridge, let's see, what I'm inspired to make. You might go in there and not be inspired at all, and you might not make anything, right? But if you make a determined sankalpa that, no, we are going to make 108 preparations for the Lord today, then you'll figure out a way. You'll look and you'll find something, or you'll get someone to bring ingredients if you're missing ingredients that you need. You'll engage others in helping if you can't do it yourself, right? So you're going to make it happen and Krishna is going to facilitate. So if we are very intentional about what we want to do for Krishna, then Krishna makes that happen. And of course, even more strong than a sankalpa is an actual vrat, or a vow. Like when devotees take initiation, we take vows. So we vow no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. And when we take our initiation vows, it's not just a question of making a promise and being true to our word, but it's actually Krishna helps. It invokes this Sarva Sankalpita Shakti so that we can actually maintain our vows, that Krishna helps us maintain our vows. And this is really what it means to be a devotee, if we look at the literal meaning of the word devotee. So the etymology of the word, it comes from Latin, from devovere. The word devotee comes from this Latin word devovere. So de means of, and vovere means vow. So it literally means those who have taken a vow, who are of vow or under a vow. So you could say that if you haven't taken a vow, at least in your heart, maybe not officially taken initiation vows, but in your heart, you've taken a vow or made a determination that I am going to follow the principles of devotional service. I am going to chant 16 rounds. I'm going to serve Krishna. I dedicate my life to the Lord. That's what we have to do. That's what it means to be a devotee. And if we do that, then Krishna is going to enable us to fulfill that. He's going to protect us, like he says in Bhagavad Gita, that konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. That declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So if we're actually devotees, if we've actually taken that vow, made that determination that I am going to live this life for Krishna, and then Krishna will help. So then someone might ask, well, how is it that sometimes we see, practically speaking, that sometimes initiated devotees break their initiation vows, right? They might break a principle, or they might stop chanting 16 rounds for whatever reasons. And so if Krishna's Sarva Sankalpita Shakti is enabling them to fulfill their vows, then how is it that they're not fulfilling the vows? So that's because what happened is that somewhere along the line, they changed their sankalpa, right? Their sankalpa was no longer, I am going to do this. Their sankalpa became, I'm going to do something else. And they became more determined to do the something else than they were to chant their rounds or whatever. And then Krishna fulfills that desire. But of course, Krishna, he does these things in a way to teach us to not desire that thing and to desire only him. So generally devotees might go through a phase where they slacken off, or they, get into some maya, but by Krishna's mercy, they come back. So they don't experience material life the way, a total materialist will. They'll experience it in a way that's edifying and brings them back to Krishna consciousness. So it's very important that we have this determination, that we're very intentional about our practices, and that we do take vows, make sankalpas. So we take our initiation vows, at least within our heart. Even before initiation, we can vow to Krishna, just within our heart, that Krishna, I am going to do this every day for the rest of my life. And then by the time we get to take initiation, it's a formality, right? We've already made that vow within our heart. So we don't need to wait until the time of initiation to make the vow. So what was the sankalpa of the gopas, of the cowherd boys here? Their sankalpa is that they wanted to sit right in front of Krishna, directly facing him. They wanted to engage in this loving exchange personally with Krishna. And Krishna fulfilled their desire. So Krishna reciprocated with all these boys in such a way that each boy thought that Krishna was only looking at him, that he wasn't looking at any other boy the whole time. He was only looking at him. So how does Krishna do this? Because Krishna is all-powerful and he's also all-pervasive. Right? In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 it says that everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces. He has ears everywhere. In this way he pervades everything. So that verse generally describes the super soul, but because Krishna is the source of the super soul, then he has all the potencies that the super soul has and more. So he's able to reciprocate with all the boys in this way. So they're sitting in this beautiful formation, and it's like a lotus flower. The lotus flower is very beautiful, and it's symbolic of many things in spiritual life. And Krishna has lotus feet, he has lotus eyes, it's a lotus navel, and everything about him is lotus-like. So the lotus is a flower that grows, it's rooted in the mud, and it grows through the water, but it doesn't touch the water. It's transcendental. So this is symbolic of how Krishna is transcendental, how he enables his devotees to transcend the material world and all of its miseries, and how everything becomes very beautiful in Krishna consciousness. So I will stop there and open it up for any questions or comments. I know a lot of devotees are leaving because the parade is happening. What's that? Uh-huh.
So nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to sometimes I'm so tired I can't keep my eyes open at night. But I have to read Krishna book. And if I just read 2 pages, my whole morning is set for the next day.
Nice.
And thank you for encouraging this, because if we don't do this, then we actually weaken that sankalpa more and more.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to take sankalpas every day, in my case. But anyway, I'm just wanting to express gratitude.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. So you have a sankalpa that every night before going to bed, I'm going to read the Krishna book.
Read the Krishna book.
Even if it's just one paragraph, I'm going to read the Krishna book.
Yeah, or whatever.
Whatever.
And this is Raghava Chaitanya. This is Srila Prabhupada's disciple.
Hare Krishna.
And he's here from Canyon Lake. And he was very pleased to hear your class.
Oh, nice. Thank you for being here.
To see somebody young and eloquent like you.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful dissertation on the cowherd voice. Madhu Mangal, quack, quack, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram. And I work with your guru, Hriyananda, many years in Florida, then in California. It's a joyful process.
Yeah.
You know, and in those days, the women were a little bit kept to the back. And we had a Miami Kirtan, and I always gave the Madongas to the Brahmatrinis because they were more skilled. They had more rhythm. You see, we need to relate to the psychology of spiritual life. It's wonderful to see people grow. This movement is coming a long way. So when I hear people like you, I thank you, Guru, and the God brothers and everybody, and Krishna for you guys. I'm 80 years old. I'm big on prayer, but I can die in peace knowing that you're there speaking about Krishna. Okay?
Thank you so much.
And
That's very
what
encouraging.
His Holiness Badri Narayan said.
What's that?
I can die peacefully. That he said that 2 days before he left his body. I
Yeah.
can die peacefully, knowing that Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON movement is in skilled hands.
It's going to go on.
Nice, huh?
Yeah. Very nice.
Raghava Chaitanya Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Badri Narayan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Anyone want to add? Krishna's pastimes? Sam, you want to say anything about Krishna? What are you going to say about Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. You could. I know Krishna can do anything. He could be a woman, a man. He can be a turtle. He can be a fish.
Half man, half lion.
Yeah, God could be a woman too. But when I was about 39 years old, I mentioned Tobias saying Samuel's a special devotee of Lord Krishna. When I opened the Krishna art book, Krishna had his hair like a dark horn on the right, kind of his hair like a horn on the right, and peacock feather and leaving dark blue skin. I said 3 times, imagine Krishna bugging out his eyes. He bug out his eyes, boy, that scared the hell out of me.
Well, that's good. You saw Krishna and it scared the demons out of you. There you go. Jai. Now you're happy because the demons have left. Krishna killed them.
Jai. Okay, anything else? All right then, so we can all, as we take prasadam, now we're going to go take prasadam, we can meditate on the Krishna and his friends sitting down and taking prasadam together and laughing.
With yogurt dripping through
joking.
his fingers.
And yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.